Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we prepare our pitch for the next Nintendo animated movie, starring the Nintendo Badge Arcade Bunny. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including last week's Indie World Showcase. And then on Thursday, we are determining the 5 best Nintendo cats. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. So maybe this is just a me thing, but as I get older,
Yes.
I find that, and for whatever reason, it really bothers me that it's happening here. So I have
Here at this table?
well, unfortunately, everywhere I go, it's happening because I have hair on my arms.
Yeah.
And then I didn't used to have hair anywhere else, but like on the back.
Well, like your head. And
Right. Oh, yeah. No.
But
That's a
you're
good point.
saying
That's
like
fair.
chest and
Yes.
upper
And
arms. Yeah.
But then now on like the back of my arm up here, I get like long, loose hairs.
See, it's the long, loose hairs.
And
like,
I don't, or like they're not like loose, like they're
connected.
they're connected, but they're loose as in
They don't appear to be part of like a patch of hair.
No, it's just like two kind of like long,
Yeah.
squirrely hairs.
Yeah, this is
that
the
are
thing.
just coming out
Yes.
of my otherwise pink nubile flesh.
I don't know that I can recover from that. Here's the thing. Having like a wild hair that's growing on the back of the top of your arm, I feel like pretty good. I get those in my eyebrows. And sometimes I'll be out in the world and I can just like tuck it into the rest of the eyebrow.
Yes, yeah.
But sometimes I don't know about it.
or it's a windy day.
And I'm just flapping around in the
Yeah.
breeze. If I'm in a convertible, forget about it.
No, it's like one of those, dancing arm men in front of
Yes,
a used
that's
car
right,
dealership.
that's right. And like, the only thing to do, you can try to trim them with scissors.
You can try.
But whenever I find a rogue hair like that, I like to make an example of it and pluck it all the way out.
Where I go to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Are we getting grosser in these
No.
openings?
This is a nice story.
Oh, okay, good.
Where I go to get my hair cut, occasionally the person will offer to trim my eyebrows.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's only occasionally makes me think that either sometimes they're not like as busy, or sometimes it is, unbeknownst to me, so horrible.
No, you gotta think about it the other way.
That they're like
That most of the time when you come in, your eyebrow game is on point. They're like, he doesn't need my help. And it's only occasionally where they're like, I could actually offer my services here and make this a little bit better. Cut yourself a break, Mark.
You're right. No, you're right.
Pink nubile flesh. If you would like to support Mark's pink nubile flesh, you can support us on patreon.com. You can go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where you can kick us a couple bucks if you are interested in helping us make this show on a twice weekly basis.
That's right. But there's something in it for you too.
Oh,
in
yes.
fact, multiple things depending on the tier that you support us at. And if you support us at the 8-bit or 16-bit tier, you have access to a bonus episode every month. We are doing a mini series right now called NCS Detective Club, where we are talking about the great detective shows of television history.
I think we can announce what our next episode is going to be about.
That's right. For the next trip, we're going to be taking jaunt across the pond. We're going to be visiting jolly old England.
That's right. We're doing an English series for the first time.
Yeah, Agatha Christie's Marple.
We're watching Marple. This is the 2004 series. There are 2 different actors who portray Marple throughout the run. We're doing one from each Marple. It's a very exciting time, and I feel like we're a little overwhelmed by it.
They're just very long.
They're They're just very long.
It's like
they got so many details.
We're basically talking about 2 movies.
That's right. That's right. So if you want to get in on that, or if you want to listen to our episodes that are already out there about Monk, about Psych, about Murder, She Wrote, about the third one,
Diagnosis Murder.
There we go. By which I meant fourth one is Diagnosis Murder. You can support us at the 8 or 16-bit tiers and check out those episodes now. Also, we have a Discord. If you would like to get in there and talk about Nintendo stuff, which people are doing basically all the time, you can send us an email at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com, and we will send you an invitation. Mark, would you like to get into what we've been playing this week?
Let's do it.
All right, Tetris 99 ticket update.
It's a Tetris 99 ticket update.
All right, okay, all right, I'm grooving on it. I like it. 739.
Nice. Wait, is that nice?
I'm slowing down a little bit.
Okay.
I'm back below the 20 threshold.
I feel like, and this is not for you to do. This
Yeah.
is for me to do.
To keep track
I
as we're
need to
going.
keep tracks. That way I know how to gauge my excitement better or a disappointment better.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the progress made.
I mean, even just having to say the number out loud feels like some amount of accountability. You know what I mean?
I do, but I do know what
you want
mean.
more.
I'm still trying to live up to Matt's example.
Yep.
And be that good guiding coach
Yeah.
that you need.
I need a
Someday,
coach.
hopefully you'll look back and I'll be one of those people who touched your life in some way, and maybe this can be that way.
I need a Lydia Tarr figure to
wait, no,
to loom over me.
No.
Yes, Lydia Tarr did nothing wrong. Let's talk about Tetris 99 because you've been playing it a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. For the Maximus Cup.
Maximus Cup. I assume that you got the Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
And not to interrupt what you're about to say, so keep it in your mind. But I've just got to say that the past 2 Maximus Cups,
yes,
it used to take me about an hour, I would say, to get enough, to get 100 points. But I'm now able to do it in 3 or 4 matches. So either 2 things are happening. One, and this feels less likely, that I'm getting better at Tetris 99. Or 2, I used to play it Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and I would just get my butt kicked. But this time I played Sunday or Saturday evening. Maybe it was Sunday evening. And then the one before that, it was Monday night. And I think it's just more of my people on at that time.
Sure. So you think you've self-selected an easier opponent pool. We got an email from Mark, not you, who writes in, "Hi, Patrick and Mark, love the show. Just a quick debug on your news episode." This is an email we actually got a couple weeks ago, and by the time we were able to address it, it was out of... but anyway, he writes, "I'm sorry, Mark, but I hate to burst your Fire Emblem Engage Tetris 99 Maximus Cup bubble. I'm sure you are getting better, but Nintendo did in fact make it easier to accumulate points."
Okay, that makes so much sense.
There you go.
Yeah, Mark, thank you for confirming. That totally makes sense. Because
Yep.
So there was a third option out there that I wasn't aware of. So it's probably neither the time I was playing or that I've gotten better.
Right.
That is definitely not true.
I think you may have gotten better.
I only play when they're Maximus Cups.
Okay, then you're probably worse.
I have to relearn the controls every time.
It's Tetris.
And then the
left, right, down, turn the blocks, pull the block.
But option C does absolutely make the most sense. That they just made it easier to get points.
This is a fine Tetris Max or Tetris 99 theme. It will now just join the the throng of Kirby themes in my head.
Yes, I'm trying to find I'm trying to find somebody in our Discord, and I apologize that I can't remember who it was. Oh, here we go. Anthons said that out of 25 themes for Maximus events, 5 of them have been Kirby themed.
Yeah.
So a full 5th.
It's a lot. And I do think that the Kirby's Dream Buffet theme is an extraordinarily good one because it is doing like Kirby music, but it's sort of like ska-y Kirby music. So it comes with like an energy that's even more manic than like Kirby gets normally. And so I really appreciate that one. Now, when I'm just like playing the game to get my daily tickets, I have it on the Kirby Stream Buffet.
Oh,
thing.
nice.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say that it like fit the mood of Tetris 99 perfectly, but I did like the music. Listening to this one because it was from, I'm assuming the theme was Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the music is from that game. And the music sounded great.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the soundtrack to Return to Dreamland Deluxe is awesome as well.
But, you know, Nintendo, you make other games. You don't just make Kirby games.
I think Anthons was also pointing out we never got a Splatoon 3.
Yeah, it's
theme.
outrageous.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do it when they get back to the like the story mode in the DLC that there's or whatever the second like actual content drop of that is. Like that would be a good time to like throw something on Tetris 99 just to keep Splatoon in the like consciousness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is strange that like every time they do anything that they don't have a Tetris 99 theme to go with it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there wasn't like a Super Mario Brothers movie Tetris 99.
Great or opening of the theme park or whatever.
Yeah, or like Tears of the Kingdom. Well, we could still get a
Tears of the Kingdom. We'll
like
still
3
get
months from now.
It is weird that it also they don't happen when the games come out. Like it's a couple months later, and maybe again that's just to, like keep the game.
Yeah,
in
marketing beat type
yeah,
thing.
It's another marketing beat after the game is out. Mark, I've been spending time also playing the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. I bought all of them. And I've really just been playing Final Fantasy IV, which is kind of my first Final Fantasy. And so I'm just sort of having a wonderful time playing it with this new coat of paint and with 4 times experience boost on. Because, hey, I don't want to grind anymore. I don't think I get any joy out of that anymore. So I have yet to just like turn off random encounters and just like march right to like the end of a dungeon area. I still just do the random encounters, but you know, I let my characters gain 4 times the experience they normally would, which has allowed me to. One of the things about Final Fantasy IV is that the characters are like coming into and leaving your party basically all the time, and there's no point where like you get to like the end game and you can sort of freely pick who's in your party. It's always just determined by like the story beats. So there are many characters that join you for a short time and then are either killed or in one particularly tragic case turned to stone. And I decided that I was like, I want to see. There are these 2 twin characters, these twin mages, who are children when you join up with them, and they are with you for a short amount of time, right? Like it's, you know, maybe like 2 hours of gameplay at like normal non 4 times experience speed, and they're cool little wizards, and they have like this twin magic that they cast together, but one of them is a white mage, one is a black mage, and I never got a chance to see what their like higher level spells or like spellcasting capabilities are really like. So it was fun to like spend a little time grinding with them at 4 times experience and see like the full like breadth and depth of their spellcasting prowess. And like, I don't know, it felt great to like see these kids realize into like powerful wizards.
That's really cool because I guess it makes sense that the game originally would have accounted for that because you could have just, in theory, just kept grinding and grinding on, you know, like the enemy encounters.
Right. And I didn't grind for like ever, you know, but just enough to like see them with some like higher level spells.
Oh, right. Oh, I mean, in like the, you know, if before you could do 4X, like if you were playing on the Super Nintendo, you would have had to spend a lot of time to get to that point.
Yeah. Also, and this is an anecdote that I relayed to you, like right when I started playing, but I haven't done it on the podcast yet. I was not emotionally prepared for the experience of hearing the remixes of Final Fantasy music in the context of the games. You know, obviously we've heard orchestrations and remixes of Final Fantasy music forever, right? Like that's one of the first things when you're, you know, or for me, when I was going on like file sharing sites like Napster or LimeWire or whatever back in the day, and being like, oh, orchestrated Final Fantasy 7, orchestrated Final Fantasy 6 music. And so like I know what those orchestrations sound like, and like it doesn't surprise me to hear one out of context of the games. But when I'm playing those games and I'm seeing those sprites, I always expect to hear that Super NES sound chip like spitting out the melodies. And I like the Super NES sound chip. No shade to that sound chip, but there is something totally different in the experience between hearing the original recording, or whatever, the original music of the Final Fantasy IV love theme, when Cecil is admitting his failings and weakness to his girlfriend Rosa, and hearing a fully orchestrated version of that at the exact same moment. Just getting like the sound and visuals playing together in a way where I'm like, oh, this is this moment feels emotionally fresh and new and resonant to me. I just am loving it.
That's awesome. When on Wednesday,
Yeah.
when I was over at your place, I was watching you, or you showed me a little bit of it, and I was not really prepared for how nice the presentation is.
Presentation's amazing.
In these Pixel remasters, like it seems like they did a really like good job. It also made me wonder, and I don't know the answer to this, and so if anybody does or can point me in the direction of where I could find out, it really got me thinking, like, how do you remaster a game, or like how do you remake a game?
Yeah.
What is that process? Like, is there a base of code that is the old game that you're building off of? Or are developers spending time doing like asset for asset recreations?
I would guess the latter.
And then like,
because working with the old
movement
code
down
would be hard, right?
Right. So then are you getting like, you just like tweaking the movement of the characters and all that kind of stuff to I don't know. It seems, I don't think I really ever thought and took the time to appreciate like how much work like a remaster or a remake of one.
Right.
It's really a remake of a game like that would actually be.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that we don't really have the, like, you kept kind of oscillating back and forth between remake and remaster, because it's not really like they are remaking the game, but it's different from like a conceptual remake,
Right.
Like Final Fantasy VII remake or the new Resident Evil games or anything like that. But because it is more or less a faithful recreation, but just with modern tools. So yeah, very cool. I'm excited to keep working my way through it. I feel like I'm making tremendous time through Final Fantasy IV. I've put maybe like 5 or 6 hours into it, and I feel like I am deeper into the game than I ever get on, like, except for the like 1 or 2 times that I've actually played it all the way through. So it's very exciting. I'm underground with the dwarves, flying around, and having a great time. I'm reunited with Rydia. I'm having the time of my life. I love Final Fantasy IV. Mark, what are you playing?
So I continue to chip away at Super Mario Galaxy, and I don't really have a lot new to say about it. Like I'm the more I play it, the more I'm kind of like of two minds. I would say it is still absolutely incredible, and yet I think it for sure shows its age. And it's a lot of the same ways that, honestly, like Super Mario 64 shows its age, and Super Mario Sunshine showed its age, in that like camera control, they don't.
You gotta let go of that.
I know,
it's an illusion, Mark.
But it's just, in so many ways it feels so modern.
Yeah.
And then you go to move the camera and it's like, oh, you can't move the camera, or you can, but it's almost GameCube era, and it's sure we'll do it in like quadrants.
Yeah.
But you don't have like free flowing control, and it's just so jarring because really the majority of the game holds up so well. But
how do you control the camera in what are we talking about? Galaxy.
Well, actually, so I use you have like the pointer, which would be like the Wiimote,
right?
And then you would have like the nunchuck,
right,
piece, and so you would use
so you use like
you must be using the D-pad on the Wii to move the camera.
So this is my question.
So that would make sense why it's not like
are you using the as you are playing it now?
I'm using the right Joy-Con.
Oh,
yeah,
but the right.
Oh,
thumbstick.
sorry, the thumbstick.
Yeah. Okay. That does make sense. Yeah, because like there is only the one thumbstick.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That does make sense that it would like move in increments then, because It must have been. It must
because
have
there's
been
no
the
analog
D-pad.
control. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, it is a great game. It does show its age. It's not like 100% timeless, but it's not in the same way.
Look, it's not Super Mario Galaxy 2.
I've also been playing a little bit of Star Wars Republic Commando, which is the
Also
free
showing
trial
its age.
game. Oh, yes, it is. It's the free trial game for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers in North America right now.
For a couple days still, right?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
1 or 2 days left. I didn't put that much time into it, maybe 2 hours, but it is showing its age, and yet, so like I think I played as much as I want to of it.
How would you describe the gameplay?
Okay, so it is a first-person
Ooh,
shooter,
okay.
and you're like looking through the visor of a clone trooper, and you are the like commander of a clone trooper unit, and you're introduced really early in the game to like the different members of your squad, and they all have like a different kind of like attitude, their helmets are different colors that have different markings, and they all have different skills. And so, and I don't know, maybe later in the game your team gets switched up and you meet new characters and stuff, but it's the 4 of you. And so you are going through, and then you'll come to a point where like you need a sniper. So you direct the sniper clone trooper to go over and like take them out. Or it might call for explosives to blow open a door, and so you'll call like the other clone trooper. The first level is on Geonosis, because it takes place like in the Attack of Clone, like right around Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
And then in addition to every person having their job and you like directing them to do that, there's also like squad commands. So you can tell your squad like
Okay.
huddle up, like let's protect each other, or go out and be really aggressive. And so all of this is happening kind of in real time as like the shooter stuff is happening. So the idea is really cool. The Star Warisms of it are really cool, and like having these individual clone troopers with different like personalities, like that's all stuff that's come back a lot, around in Star Wars in the past few years with like Bad Batch and stuff like that. So,
and even just like throughout the Clone Wars and Rebels, they do a really good job of distinguishing one clone from another.
So it's really like the idea is really cool, and the game itself is not bad, but it definitely, I just kind of like, I'm glad I experienced it, but the couple hours is all I really want to put into it.
Did you find that like you have to really stay on top of like the tactical side of it, and like being no, you can really just sort of brute force your way through it?
I was playing like
early enough in the
first
game,
couple of levels, and so and I'm sure it also depends on what difficulty level you're playing on. Like I'm sure my guess is that later in the game it does probably become more tactical and matter how you're commanding your troops, but in the beginning it's really forgiving, so I never ran into any of that.
Yeah. Interesting. I might check that out when we're done recording, just to see it in action.
Yeah, I think it's worth messing around with, especially if you like Star Wars. And I've never played a Star Wars game like that before. Like, it's so unique. It just makes me nostalgic for that time in Star Wars.
Right.
It's just because that was like 20 years ago. Last year was 20 years. I don't know exactly when this came out, but Attack of the Clones was 20 years old last year. So,
yeah. Well, and Revenge of the Sith will be that was 2005. So yeah. I mean those movies are a generation ago.
Yeah, so it's just fun to look back on and like kind of remember that era of Star Wars.
Yeah. Mark, this is not Nintendo related, so I apologize, but I gotta speak to Street Fighter 6. The demo launched this weekend, or I guess last week, and I messed around with it a little bit over the weekend, and it is a strange experience. Street Fighter 6 is a game that has, classic sort of Street Fighter one-on-one fights, like kind of normal Street Fighter things, and the parts of the demo that let me mess around with that, and the sort of like new systems involved there. There's a cool like parry and like overdrive break system that like it's just a neat like rock paper scissors kind of thing that you can apply these special moves to these fights, like kind of layered on top of already the robust Street Fighter fighting system. But then there's also this other part of the game called World Tour, which is like the adventure mode, and it starts with one of the more bonkers character creators I've ever experienced, where it gives you, those character creators where there's like sliders for like eyebrows and like brow weight.
Yeah, you can have like make it like a Neanderthal.
Well, yes, but you can do that with literally every part of the face and body. And so like if you go out looking for like bizarre Street Fighter 6 character creation examples, you will see some of the strangest stuff you will ever see. I made a character for myself who seems like geez, I don't even really know how to. I think I described him in the Discord as like Freddie Mercury meets Iggy Pop, but like musclier, and like trying to also be me a little bit, right? So like there's the mustache and the hair that's a little bit like mine, but I gave him like more gray in there as well. Anyway, then you play as this character who has like speed and reach based on how big you make their body parts, right? And then you're just like sort of using the moves of like real Street Fighter characters, but also sort of not. And you're running around in this world like a very I don't even really know how to describe it because like you're just in an open world running around challenging people to fights. And once you get into the fights, then it's like regular Street Fighter, but it's just so weird that you're like running up to someone running a food truck and being like, "Hey, let's fight."
Man, that's the world of Street Fighter. I don't know that I could hack it.
It's bizarre. Well, could I hack it in real life? No.
So you're running around, you're fighting food truck people.
Yeah.
And are you like leveling up after fight if you win?
You are leveling up,
or
yes.
I guess maybe even lose, you get like experience and then
I
you
wouldn't
can use
know
that to improve
about
your...
that.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, what an interesting kind of like route for Street Fighter 6 to take.
Yeah, well, and I know I can see what they're doing, right? Like fighting games have in the last decade like really tried to approach the single player experience from a different direction. Mortal Kombat has done the like we do CG movies that are like just intercut with these individual fights that you have to do, and that is like their way of being an engaging thing between the fights. And I appreciate that Street Fighter is doing that, but instead of cinematics, they're using gameplay. It's just like not necessarily the kind of gameplay that I want to be engaging with when I'm thinking about Street Fighter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's very interesting. I'm going to be paying attention to this when it comes out. I'm very interested. Also, I'm just like thinking about Street Fighter more now. Mark, I pre-ordered a keyboard that has a like drawing of oh shoot, I'm trying to share it. Hold on. Oh, I just closed the window. Mark, oh no. Hold on. I'm trying to share it with you. So I ordered a keyboard. This is in our notes, our show notes right now. A keyboard that has an image of Ryu fighting Chun-Li on it. I've never had a like vanity computer keyboard before, but I ordered this because it looks cool.
That does look cool.
It's from a company called High Ground, and I just thought it looked neat. I'll post pictures of it in the Discord. I'm very excited for this thing to come. I don't even know when it's going to come. I pre-ordered it, and it said 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm like, okay, I'll see it someday. All right, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
So before we get into this week's new releases, last Tuesday, 4 new games were released for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive Nintendo Switch Online. You got Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition, which, Patrick, I don't expect you to know what every Street Fighter 2 version is, but do you have any idea what makes Special Champion Edition so special?
Mark, I know exactly everything about all versions of Street Fighter 2, but I also have played all 4 of these games. This is a bad version of Street Fighter 2, basically a bad version of Street Fighter 2 Turbo, but without the ability to like speed up the game. That was one of the like things that came along with the Turbo. Yes, that's right. So it has the extra the boss characters are playable characters, but it's before you get the characters from Super Street Fighter. So it's a roster of 12, and on a Genesis controller, and therefore on whatever controller you try to play this on, it is based on a 3-button layout. So by default, the buttons A, B, C in that order are light punch, medium punch, strong punch. And if you want to switch them to kicks, you push the start button. So you had to like push the start button while you're playing, like as you're going to switch between punches and kicks.
Interesting.
The workaround for that with the, on the original Genesis was the 6-button controller. I think invented for like the purpose of playing Street Fighter 2 on it. But there's no such thing for the Nintendo Switch. Not a great version of Street Fighter 2. It's interesting that it's on here, but ultimately kind of a wash.
There's also Pulse Man, which is notable because it was developed by Game Freak, the developers of the Pokemon games.
So I had never heard of Pulse Man before, but I played a fair amount of it this afternoon. And it rips. Like, it's really fun. You play as this like robot thing. Actually, let me read you the description from inside the app, because I thought it was fun. The action game starring Pulse Man, an artificial life form and superhuman that can run through light, was created by prominent developer Game Freak. Packed with charming characters, a lively world, and plenty of exciting features. Get ready to see what a real game is all about. Real is in all caps there. The year is 2015. The ambitious genius scientist Doc Uyama schemes to conquer the galaxy, but a boy named Pulse Man, who can move freely between the physical world and the computer network, shows up to stop him. The battle between the Galaxy Gang, a mysterious organization led by Doc Wariyama, takes place in a captured Tokyo TV station, a mechanized rainforest in India, and a maze of Las Vegas casinos, to name a few. Pulse Man's adventures take him inside computer networks and to cities all over the globe.
That sounds incredible.
It's fun.
Also, I love that it's a boy named Pulse Man.
The boy is named Pulse Man. It's not a man named Pulse Boy.
Honey, yeah, that's right.
Honey, I shrunk the Pulse Man.
No, I was gonna. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but here's what I was gonna do.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like, no, it truly doesn't matter. It's not even worth getting into. Anyways, you were gonna say you played it.
I played it. It's very fun. It's the character sprite is big, way bigger than I expected in a normal like Genesis game, and it's very colorful, sometimes too colorful. But the character can dash, jump, and punch. And run. And as he builds up speed, the punch and the dash become more dramatic. So as you're running and you hit this dash thing, he like turns into a ball of light and starts to like ricochet, like goes up at a 45-degree angle, and then like ricochets off of stuff until you tell him to stop, or if he runs out of speed. So it just like opens it up to this like very fun kinetic thing where you like want to go fast, but you aren't like forced to or sentenced to, like Sonic the Hedgehog style. This is one I absolutely want to go back to. Had a blast playing for like half an hour this afternoon, and want to just keep digging into. And it's a Game Freak game.
Yeah, that sounds so fun. Also, Kid Chameleon and Flicky.
I want to talk about Kid Chameleon for just a second. Kid Chameleon is one of those games that feels like a flagship Genesis game that I put in the same category as like Comic Zone or Altered Beast, right? Like these games that were like the face. They're the closest thing to like mascot games outside of Sonic, which, obviously like broke the formula, did it well. But man, Kid Chameleon is hard to play. Like the platforming doesn't feel good. The transformations don't feel good. I got lost in the third level. I got lost, couldn't progress.
It's
like
a platformer?
Yeah, it's a platformer where you are a boy who gets sucked into an arcade machine. You're not Chameleon Man. You are Kid Chameleon. He gets sucked into an arcade machine, and he gets power-ups that turn him into like classic warriors of some kind. So like there's a knight, there's a samurai, there's like someone with a rhino head.
Oh, so you're not a lizard.
No. Chameleon is like your shape changing.
I understand.
And yeah, the platforming is like slow and weird, and the physics are strange. And like the targets that he has to like hit his head against, to like like the blocks Mario style, are so small compared to him that it's like it feels like it's asking for a weird amount of precision on something as simple as hitting a block. But so and that's one of the things that as a Nintendo kid growing up was like, what are they doing over there with the Genesis that they can't make like this kind of thing work? And they do with Sonic, but like Kid Chameleon is a poor ambassador for what the Genesis can do, whereas Pulse Man, a very good ambassador.
I do feel like we should, and I mean, I don't have anything, but you mentioned you played it. I feel like we should say a few words on Flicky since we mentioned all the other ones.
Sure. So Flicky is a spin-off of Sonic the Hedgehog. Flicky is like the name of a type of bird in Sonic, like one of those birds that you rescue as you like hit those little capsules at the end of a level. This is a sort of single screen style arcade kind of game where you play as Flicky and you are rescuing other little birds. So you're a blue bird and you're rescuing these other little like chicks. So they're yellow. And there are cats that appear on the screen. And the cats will try to eat you and they'll try to eat the baby birds. And all you can do is collect the birds and like bring them back to the exit. And it's got a very like Donkey Kong kind of feel to it. It reminds me a lot actually of the Burger Time Deluxe that was just released on the Game Boy Nintendo Switch Online, and is also like pretty fun and enjoyable in like a high score chase arcade game kind of way. Don't sleep on Flicky. Like it's kind of fun. You're not going to spend more than like 20-30 minutes playing it, but those will be a fun 20 or 30 minutes.
That's cool. I guess we should also talk about this indie sale that's going on the eShop right now.
Yeah, because it is going away pretty soon. I on the 26th, which I think is
tomorrow. By the time this is
that's
released.
Right. On Wednesday. So yeah, it's a pretty big indie sale, and just wanted to call out a few here. Mark, is this the opportunity for us to actually buy Bear and Breakfast?
It could be. It's $15.99, usually $20.
Also, Celeste is normally $20, but it is now on sale for $5. Celeste is a great game.
Dead Cells Medley of Pain bundle is $31.99.
Normally $40. Hades, a game that I love dearly, is half price at $12.50.
Hollow Knight is $7.50 instead of the usual $15.
Pocket Knight Dungeon, probably my least favorite of the
Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon.
What did I say? I said
Pocket Knight Dungeon.
Anyway, that's also half price. It's $10.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is $20 instead of $25.
Which isn't too much of a discount, but it is a great game. Untitled Goose Game, which of course we are duty bound to talk about. Untitled Goose Game,
agreed.
Just as we are duty bound to talk about all things Sonic the Hedgehog, is also half price, $9 or $9.99. It's normally $19.99.
And then Windjammers 2 is $13 instead of the usual $20.
And then there's a handful of other games in there too: Slay the Spire, Spelunky 2, Spiritfarer. So check it out if you're interested in grabbing some older indie games.
Okay, and then today, when we get into the real new releases, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed, which is Wave 4 of the expansion pass, is released.
And there was a lot of info about this thing coming out over the weekend, but mostly on like the Japanese channels, like the Japanese Nintendo Twitter and stuff like that. There was a couple drops on like the North American and European Nintendo Twitter accounts, but it seems like they are mostly seeding that ground and being like, we're going to sell this in Japan. That's where the interest is. And we don't really know anything about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so I think the less we talk about it, the better.
And then tomorrow, Wednesday, April 26th, Aliens Fireteam Elite is released on Switch as a cloud version, and that's the only reason I wanted to call it out. It's because we're still occasionally getting these cloud versions, and the economy of these things, still boggles my mind a little bit.
Especially as it seems like some of the cloud services are going away, right? That like, which one was it that just shuttered? Not Luna, but the other one.
Stadia,
yeah. That like, is there still a market if all of these things? I mean, there would obviously be no market if all these things go away. But like, is just Xbox Game Pass and like the occasional like Switch cloud streaming game, is that enough to sustain this? Like, who knows?
Yeah, and like Aliens Fireteam Elite isn't from a major publisher.
Yeah.
And so how much does it cost to do one of these cloud? It's just all of those questions that I'm curious about but don't have any answers to. And then on Thursday, April 27th, Picross S9 is released, a brand new Picross game. And then on
I mean, okay.
and then on Friday, April 28th, the Nintendo Switch OLED model, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Edition, is released, which means we're just a couple of weeks
Perilously close.
away from Tears of the Kingdom at this point.
2 weeks.
Wild. Totally wild.
I'll be excited to see this thing in the wild, in people's hands, because I do think it is a fine-looking system. All right, Mark, those are the new releases. Let's close this out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of the show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. We're going to do another quiz, see if we can identify this thing by the quote in it like we did last week. And this is, can we guess the Star Wars movie from the quote? And this we are getting from StarWars.com itself. So I say let's take this quiz.
Excellent. Do you want me to pull it up, or are you going to
I
proctor?
got it.
Okay, cool.
I can proctor. First of all, how are you feeling confidence-wise going into this?
Less confident than movie musicals, actually.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll surprise myself. How about you?
I feel like I'm pretty confident, but now that I'm seeing the first one, I'm like, that could be anyone. Okay. So the first quote is, "The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded."
Okay, I think it's from A New Hope.
I think it's from A New Hope as well. The other options were Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, or The Last Jedi. Star Wars: A New Hope, we are right. Always remember, your focus determines your reality. Is that from The Empire Strikes Back, The Phantom Menace, The Force Awakens, or Rogue One, A Star Wars Story? I think this is Phantom Menace.
I think it's Phantom Menace too. It sounds very Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon, yeah. Yes, correct. Next is, okay, now come on. It's, they fly now?
Rise of Skywalker, baby.
Rise of Skywalker. And we're right. Okay. I'm feeling pretty good now. This is giving us a lot of confidence. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. Is that from A New Hope, Rise of Skywalker, Rogue One, or Solo? I think it's Rogue One.
It's definitely Rogue One or Solo.
I think it's Cassian saying, "I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old."
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. All right. I don't like sand.
Attack of the Clones, baby.
Attack of the Clones. We are right. Listen, big deal. You've got another problem. Women always figure out the truth. Always.
Force Awakens.
That's from The Force Awakens. The relationship between Han Solo and Finn, underexplored.
Oh, it's so good.
I would love to see more of it. But, he's dead. Now, young Skywalker, you will die.
Man, I feel like this could be, it's Return of the Jedi.
It's Return of the Jedi, yeah. Good. And then I've got a really good feeling about this. Is that from Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, or Solo: A Star Wars Story?
Feels like a Solo thing for them
It's
to
got to
do.
be Solo. It's too smiley. It's too winky. Yeah, we got it right. It is time for the Jedi to end. It's Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Luke Skywalker. It's from the trailer. Which, yeah, of course, I still have memorized and etched on my heart. No, there is another.
Empire Strikes Back.
I don't think so. Oh, no, I guess yes, that's right. I was thinking Yoda as he was dying, but no, Empire Strikes Back. You're right. Everything you've heard about me is true. A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Rise of Skywalker, Solo: A Star Wars Story. Solo: A Star Wars Story. Solo?
I feel like it must be, yeah.
Solo.
Solo? I feel like it must be Solo: A Star Wars Story.
It could also be Rise of Skywalker, but let's go with Solo. Nailed it. There's a lot of these. Okay. You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? A New Hope, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yep, nailed it. Next quote. Maybe someday you'll feel different. Empire Strikes Back, Attack of the Clones, Last Jedi, Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Man.
Maybe someday you'll feel different. That feels like Solo as well.
Yeah.
Something
yeah,
that
let's
Woody
go with
Harrelson
Solo. Let's
said.
go with
Yep,
Solo.
yep, there we go. Nailed it. We're doing so good here. The Garbage'll Do. That's Rey. She's talking about the
Okay, so yes.
Force Awakens. Great. We're nailing these. We've not missed one yet. No, I call it aggressive negotiations. Star Wars: New Hope, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Rise of Skywalker.
I think it's Attack of the Clones.
I think it's Attack of the Clones as well. Yep. I don't think we've had anything from Revenge of the Sith yet.
No, I don't think so.
Next quote is, "You'll find I'm full of surprises." Oh, and we'll never know.
Maybe that one was Revenge of the Sith.
Not one of the options.
Oh.
The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Attack of the Clones, and The Last Jedi.
Well, phew. Glad we...
Good thing we don't have to answer that one. We were accompanied today by pianist Kyle Shaw. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Last Wednesday, April 19th, there was an Indie World Showcase presentation, about 22 minutes of indie game information that we're going to run through right now.
And this will be a lot more of just like a run through of it, right? Like,
right.
In the past when we've done these Indie World Showcases, we really make a meal out of it. A, we've already been going for 45 minutes on this episode. B, there wasn't much in this that really spoke to me.
Yeah, I have kind of felt that way about the last few Indie World Showcases. There's always games that I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, or like that looks neat. Yeah, although I truthfully am not tapped into the indie game scene enough to have like games that I'm anticipating showing up that don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all kind of a surprise to me. The first thing shown was Miniko's Night Market, releasing September 26, 2023.
Now, we had seen this one in a previous Indie World Showcase, right?
Had we? I don't remember that.
I mean, the night market part of this, like, really stuck in my head as something that we had seen before, unless there's a separate game called Night Market.
Yeah, maybe there is, but this was new to me anyways. And you play as, like, a child who lives in this town where there's a mystical cat, and then there's a night market.
Yeah.
I don't really know how much to get into it, but it looked cute.
Sure, looked cute. Had like a fun sort of like paper art style. Like it was interesting.
After that was My Time at Sandrock, releasing summer 2023, a sequel to My Time at Portia. Your goal is to restore post-apocalyptic desert community to its former glory. It actually reminded me a lot of like a 3D version of something like Stardew Valley.
Sure,
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Played Up was after that, releasing October of this year. It's a roguelike management restaurant sim
with heavy Overcooked vibes.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm kind of like, can they do this? Like, it feels like they just made Overcooked but added some like roguelike. And I guess that's enough to be different.
Yeah, but it looks interesting. Quilts and Cats of Calico, releasing this fall. It's an adaptation of the board game Calico. The thing that really stood out to me, which is a board game I'm not familiar with, but appears to be like you're trying to make a quilt on a board.
Yes.
And put like patches on the quilt, and that's how you earn points.
And the cats kind of like come over and mess with it, or like the quilt or something.
Yeah, and so the thing that stood out to me is you can really like customize your cat with a cat builder.
There's a lot of cats in this one, which is why we're talking about cats on Thursday's
cats on
episode.
the mind.
Cats on the brain. I'll read a couple, so you don't have to read all of them. Next, we had Rift of the Necrodancer, which is a spin-off of Crypt of the Necrodancer. Kind of cool to see the Necrodancing team back in an Indie World Showcase after they did Cadence of Hyrule. So this is more, seems a little bit more traditional as far as these games are concerned, as lane-based combat, so like kind of the presentation of like a Guitar Hero or something like that. Still a little like active where the enemies that you're attacking in the lanes are moving around, but seems like a lot more like what I expect from a rhythm game than Crypt of the Necrodancer was.
Yeah,
in the first place.
definitely something that I personally would be more interested in
totally
than like Cadence of Hyrule.
And then there were also some mini games in there that looked and they're like character based mini games that you get like some story about the individual characters that feel more like Rhythm Heaven or like WarioWare-esque. Then we got an update on some DLC coming to games that had previously been featured in Indie World showcases. A little to the left is getting cupboards and drawers DLC. So a little to the left is that like sorting game where you're basically like sorting drawers and organizing things. So that's getting some new content there. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon Puzzlers Pack DLC. So this is free DLC that's coming this spring. Where there are more puzzles and a guy that you can buy hats from and stuff like that. And then I think the big one, and it launched the same day as it launched earlier this week, I guess. The Cult of the Lamb Relics of the Old Faith update came to Cult of the Lamb for free.
Next was Animal Well, which is releasing early 2024. It's a Metroidvania, has a neat art style and colors.
And this is the game that's coming from Donkey's
yes
publishing studio or whatever.
Yep.
And it does seem pretty cool. Like there's they're talking about like various ways to approach puzzles and situations. And that I don't know. It seemed neat. It has a very like pulled back perspective where you're in a lot of dark space and just like how to get around it. Seems like a fun puzzle to approach.
After that was Crime O'Clock, which releases on June 30th. I don't really, based on the trailer, didn't really understand exactly how like the gameplay works. But...
Yeah, I agree. And this is one where, and I have like a sort of just general complaint about this showcase, that the writing was insufferable and as is frequently the case, that they just have, these things are just full of like pointless puns. And this was one where they were so wrapped up in like the wordplay and like the goofiness of it that I didn't get a sense of what the game actually was.
Yeah, it's some sort of time jumping mystery game. They say there's 40 cases to solve. I thought the art style kind of looked like it's like the perspective like a Where's Waldo.
Sure.
And as you what they say is as you travel through time, you meet characters, solve cases, and as you do so, the map changes, opening up new cases in different time periods. It looked neat, but I don't understand at all like how it actually plays.
And next up was Teslagrad 2, the sequel to Teslagrad, and Teslagrad Remastered, which are available, right now. We're available at the time of the showcase. It's like a 2.5D puzzle platformer with like some kind of action elements. You can buy them either as a bundle or you can buy them separately.
Next up was Shadows Over Loathing, which the digital edition was available immediately, and then physical version is coming this fall. And it just made me laugh that it's set in the 1920s and in the West of Loathing universe.
Now, you and I messed around with West of Loathing when it came out many years ago now at this point, and I feel like the 3 or 4 hours we spent with West of Loathing was like the extent of how much time I ever want to spend with this franchise. So I'm happy that people are happy about this, but I'm kind of like I don't necessarily need it anymore. It's a little too like just like random cutesy kind of for me. So Shadows of Loathing, Overloathing.
Blasphemous 2, which is releasing summer 2023, a sequel to Blasphemous. They call it in the explanation of the game, like in the little dialogue voiceover, a brutal Metroidvania.
Brutal. It was weird to hear them have to like shift to language like like that. It's like, oh, they're being fun, we're being cute. There are cats all over the place, and this one is brutal.
Yeah, it does look. It
looks neat. Yeah.
I haven't played Blasphemous at all, but it kind of. I know it's just described as a Metroidvania. I guess that makes sense. I was gonna say it reminds me of Castlevania,
right?
A little bit, maybe
more. It's a full half of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals got kind of a longer trailer. We'd been teased with it in earlier directs. Looks pretty cool, I gotta say. So it's like a horror mystery graphic adventure game. And I thought the voice acting that was shown off in this trailer was genuinely great.
Yeah, it sounded natural. Which is a weird note to have to make about these things, but here we are. I never played the first Oxenfree.
Yeah, me neither.
But this game this trailer actually made me interested in playing that one, so I can play this.
We might be Oxenfree boys now.
Yeah,
Oxenfree men.
It's just our life now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a little sizzle reel. You got Paper Trail, which looks like it's some sort of puzzle game, where you can manipulate images like you would paper. So fold it, rotate it,
Yeah.
almost like those Mad Max, or not Mad Max, Mad Magazine
Yeah.
fold in pages.
That guy just died.
R.I.P.
And then Little Kitty, Big City, you play as a cat. There's a photo mode.
Chance of Sonar, which
No idea.
I really don't know what it is.
Brotato, a top-down arena shooter roguelike.
Escape Academy, the Complete Edition, which is a puzzle game.
Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, which I refuse to learn anything about.
And then Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, where you battle rival crews and dispatch military police to conquer the 5 boroughs of New Amsterdam. There's like dancing and tagging, and the music is done by the composer of Jet Set Radio. Visually, it looks super cool. I'm not entirely sure what the gameplay is like. I do want to say Brotato, Escape Academy, the Complete Edition. I think there was another one in there, but when I was Googling them to kind of see if they had been released on other platforms and stuff, and a lot of them have been. A lot of them are like on Steam,
Sure.
and are coming to Switch, and a lot of them are like really highly rated on Steam, like 9 out of 10. So it seems like there's a lot of good quality indie games coming. It's just the thing for an Indie World Showcase for me, even more than a direct for whatever reason, is I feel like they're like, the aim of these must be to just tease you and then say like, oh, I was interested in that one, so it's going to be on me to go get more information.
Yeah, I think
because
that's right.
like the that like Crime O'Clock one, it kind of looked interesting, but they didn't do anything to sell me on it per se. I have no idea what the game is.
Yeah.
There's just something about the format that doesn't really click for me.
Yeah, well, it's tough because they're selling like unknown quantities. Like a regular Nintendo Direct, they're going to be like, "Here's Pikmin 4. Get it?" And you're like, "Yeah, I do. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited."
Yeah.
If you were to make a sequel to Crime O'Clock, what do you call it?
I'm hesitant to get it wrong.
It's not a riddle.
Okay.
I want to know what you would call a sequel to Crime O'Clock. I have 2 ideas in my head. I want to see if you're going to pitch one of those 2 ideas.
I'm too scared to.
Is it Quarter Past Crime?
Okay, that's pretty good.
Or Crime 30?
Both are very good.
Mm-hmm. Prequel would be Quarter to Crime.
Now it sounds like a book series. Like they're like those murder sisters.
Yeah.
Murder series that are like.
They're also those murder sisters. You want to stay away from them.
They're all based on, or all of them have like the cat who in the title.
Yeah, sure.
Or, like A is for Murder Apple.
Right.
Okay, so that's the Indie World Showcase.
Weird that it ends with the sizzle reel for me. That there was no
there's
one
like
more thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just kind of like not a terrible one, but just kind of not one of the best Indie World Showcases we've ever had.
Let me ask you this. I think I've always been waiting for, when are we going to get another Cadence of Hyrule-esque thing, right? Where Nintendo's like, hey, indie studio, make a game using our IP. Why have we not seen that since?
And has it been a while, just kind of piggybacking off of that, has it been a while since we've had a third party, I guess it hasn't been that long, but like a third party collaboration?
Well, there's like Mario Rabbids was just last year.
Right. And there was the Fire Emblem Warriors sequel that was
right,
that last year?
Three Hopes.
Three Hopes.
Yeah.
But I felt like for a while there were like
kind of a lot of them, yeah.
And just like surprises, like, Cadence of Hyrule is a great example of it. So it just makes me wonder if those released and now we're in this like recharge period where they're being worked on but not quite ready to be announced. I just feel like I think it's time for the Indie World Showcases to be rethought.
Mm-hmm.
I think the format is I don't, for whatever reason, I don't think it really works that well.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because like when they started, they were like and they were in Nindies, right? Remember they were Nindie showcases for a while. That was early in the Switch's life when there like truly weren't that many games on there, and where like be like, oh, this is an indie that's coming to Switch. It's probably something good or something to pay attention to. And I'm not trying to say that these games aren't something to pay attention to. It seems like there's a lot of good stuff in here. but there's just so much that comes to the eShop every day now, and a lot of it from indie studios that is just like shovelware. So like that almost speaks more to like the need for something like this, but the showcase itself to me is starting to like it's lost its luster
Yeah.
in some capacity. And is that a me problem? Is that a them problem? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love to know how people feel about these indie world showcases. Are they something that excite you? Are you glad you watched one, or would you rather just that they were like highlighting these on like the eShop or in the news section or whatever?
The Super Mario Brothers movie continues to clean up at the box office. In its third weekend in theaters, the Super Mario Brothers movie pulled in 58.23 million in North America, beating out all the new releases and bringing the total global gross so far to $871 million. And it has, I think this week it releases in Korea and Japan.
Right.
Or at least if not this week, then next week. So it hasn't even released in Japan yet. It is very easily going to cross the $1 billion mark.
Right, which is something I was skeptical of before the movie was released, but maybe I shouldn't have been, just with the amount of like PR they've put into like positioning this movie as a like cultural touchstone. And it seems to be like kids are enjoying it. Like it is a good family movie, something that you can take your kids to and not worry about them being scared or bored. It's only 90 minutes. And is that threshold of like just good enough, that like it's an important property that they're marketing the heck out of and is good enough. So yeah, it'll make that billion. Seems like no problem.
Shigeru Miyamoto was interviewed by Japanese magazine Nikkei last week. And of course, he's talking about the future of Nintendo at the movies, but in the most cryptic way possible.
Yes.
Saying, quote, Nintendo is like a talent agency. We have plenty of other entertainers.
What an interesting way to phrase that. Who are the interesting entertainers? Who are the other entertainers?
Well,
like, I mean, Mario was one, right? Is that what we're saying? And that like we also have Pit. People are going to see a Pit movie, right?
Well, I mean, they do. I mean, when you think about it, they have so many different universes.
Yeah.
That you have Zelda, you have Donkey Kong, you have Metroid, you have Splatoon,
Fox.
you have Star Fox.
Give me a Star Fox.
Yeah.
movie.
So, he also says, "quote There are many possible ways we could go, such as using characters that would be fit for movies or very well-known characters."
That feels like it's a translation thing, right? All of which is to say that they're exploring whatever other options they have, and why would they not? This Mario movie made a $1 billion. Do you think there's a chance that any other Nintendo movie, like any other Nintendo property, could be as popular as the Super Mario Brothers movie?
I find it difficult to believe, but also I don't know. It's kind of like the MCU. Not every one needs to be the highest grossing.
Sure,
you have your Ant-Man, you have your what have you, that
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, you have your Doctor Stranges, right? And so some of them gross more than others, but they're all successful. And
yeah, what's interesting about the MCU though is that they started with Iron Man, right? Like they start with maybe a C-list character and made a pretty good movie, or at least like a movie that caught the zeitgeist in just the right way. And then it sort of didn't matter. Like if Nintendo had started with a Kid Icarus movie, or like a Wrecking Crew movie, and like that was great and people were excited about it, then you're like, oh yeah, now you can go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because like Mario, that's the big one.
Yeah, so no, I don't know that any of them would make as much money as a Mario movie, but it was a smart one to start with.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
And finally, in what is likely to be the last Smash Brother amiibo announcement ever, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not going to get that Sora amiibo, right?
It feels very unlikely. Yeah, we have a release date for the Pyra and Mithra 2-pack amiibo. They're coming to stores on July 21st, and they both have functionality in Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
A game in which they don't appear.
Perfect.
And then I assume they also have the normal amiibo functionality in Smash Brothers Ultimate, I would guess.
Yeah, I would assume so too.
So does that mean that Sora will be the one character that you won't be able to store like amiibo fighter data for, because you have to store them because there just is no Sora amiibo.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Interesting. Someone's got to get on that. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Not totally sure what I mean when I say someone's got to get on that, but someone must. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, join our Discord, send us an email, and we will let you in right away. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.